Hey everyone, Tech Gamer here. If you're like me, you spend countless nights awake wondering, can I land an urban air mobility vehicle on the Statue of Liberty in Microsoft Flight Simulator? Well, I have some good news for you. Today we're going to find out. So as always, please click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned. Let's do this. Okay, welcome back, and here we go. So the first thing we want to do in our attempt to land at the Statue of Liberty is to set up a free flight. So let's go to World Map, and I think for this flight we're going to take off from LaGuardia Airport. So let's go ahead here and select runway 13, which is a good spot to take off from. So we are set. Now we need to change our aircraft to a urban air mobility vehicle. For purposes of this flight, I'm going to call it Urban Air Mobility. So let's look for the now. And it's got to be here somewheres. There it is. The Volocopter from Volocity. So we've gone ahead and selected it. And we are going to select our flight conditions now. I'm thinking I'm going to do... Let's do real-time weather. Okay, so it's 7:17 p.m. right now, and everything is set. We can see there are some multiplayer internet players flying around, so we may run into them while we're playing. Alright, just gotta wait for the game to load now. So this game is being played on a Microsoft Xbox Series X. I'm using a Thrustmaster T.Flight HOTAS 1 flight stick. Gonna get in position here. Throttles down. All right. Here we are at LaGuardia Airport. All right, we are ready to fly. So we got to do a couple things here. We're going to turn off the objectives. And let's check air traffic control. We are cleared for takeoff on runway 13. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off the in-flight controls. Alright, so we are ready to fly. So, as you can see, this has a bunch of propellers that give us our flight and our turning mechanisms. You don't see any rudders or ailerons. So, we are ready to go. Now this UAM does not fly very high or very fast, but it'll get us where we need to go. So let's go ahead here and throttle up. And we are off the ground. So to move forward and backwards, left and right, you just basically push the flight stick, or you can twist it to spin around as I'm doing, so we can head towards downtown New York City and the Statue of Liberty. To move forward, you're just going to push the flight stick all the way forward or backwards, depending on which direction you want to go. If you let go of the flight stick, the UAM will just slow to a stop. If you keep the throttle at 100%, you will raise altitude. If you keep it at 50%, you'll kind of hover in one spot. And if you lower it all the way, you'll start to drop to the ground. So you need to feather the throttle when you want to land. So to get to the Statue of Liberty, we're basically going to head towards New York City, pass over downtown, and bring us right to the Statue of Liberty. Now I'm going to attempt to land on the Statue of Liberty. Not sure if that's going to happen, because I don't know how the graphics for the Statue of Liberty are actually rendered. The pedestal where I'm thinking I'm going to land may not actually be there. Be physical that you can land on. So it might land on top of, higher than it, Or it might just go through it entirely and land on the ground. That happens sometimes if you're trying to land on a building. But we'll find out. This is my first time ever trying this, so don't know how it's going to go. As you can see, we're traveling at about 60 knots, and we are at about 1,000 feet. So I'm switching views here. The cockpit has nice open windows in this urban air mobility vehicle, or UAM, as I call it. And we're just going to continue heading towards New York City. I'm playing this on my Thrustmaster T.Flight HOTAS 1, and it does get a little tiring having to hold the flight stick forward all the time, but I can manage. So I got to keep an eye on our altitude. I don't want to get too high, because I want to be able to see some of the sights of the city, but at the same time I got to be high enough to clear the buildings downtown. You can see Brooklyn up ahead on the left. We'll be coming up on the river shortly and passing over the bridges and getting to downtown. There's LaGuardia behind us. You can see the sun is setting over New Jersey. There's a pretty nice view of Central Park is over in the distance, and New Jersey in the background. You can see the Empire State Building on the right, the Chrysler Building. You see the Flatiron Building, the New York Skyport. You can take some pretty cool helicopter rides. I highly recommend it. If you're into flying, New York City has some really cool helicopters that you can rent for somebody flies you around. They usually go downtown and then come up the Hudson River and come back into Midtown. That's really cool. I've done it before. It's very expensive, but it's really neat. So, continuing to head towards downtown, you can see the Brooklyn Bridge in the distance there. And we're going to lower our altitude a little bit here. It's a little higher than I wanted it to be, but we're doing good so far. As we get closer to downtown and pass over the buildings, I will lower the altitude to get us closer to sea level, such that I can land at the Statue of Liberty. I did a little reconnaissance in the previous flight, and I'm thinking the pedestal is a good spot. Like I said, there's a nice open area that I think I can land this guy on.
Tower Tech number 1982 frequency change.
As you can see, we're about 4 nautical miles away from LaGuardia. We are flying in beautiful weather on a beautiful night.
Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace.
Now, if you start to look around, you'll see some lights in the sky. Those are other players playing the game. And because multiplayer is turned on right now, we will see those other players. You may notice that they glitch or sometimes stop entirely, bounce off of things. That is due to typically either server latency or end user control latency with their internet. If you look straight ahead, up higher, you see a plane lights and you see it blink, stopping, moving, stopping, moving. Right there, it just did it. That is because of latency. Not on my end because I've tested it. It's on either the server or other people's connections. There's a plane flying to the bottom right and towards Central Park. That looks like a fighter jet. Maybe too fast to be anything else. Okay, we're coming up on downtown shortly. And here we're going to waddle down a little so we start to drop some altitude. There's Governor's Island. And there's another plane to the right of us. Over to the left. Over to the right is New Jersey and Hoboken. And now we are heading towards downtown New York. And we can see the World Trade Center on the right. We are about 2.6 nautical miles from Ellis Island and 2.96 nautical miles from the Statue of Liberty, which is our final destination. So we're going to go ahead here and pitch forward.
Contact New York approach on 132.8. Good day.
132.8 for tech number 1982. New York approach tech number
2.5 nautical miles.
1,500 feet.
As we can see, there's a fellow flyer on the right, and a pretty nice view of the World Trade Center in the sunset. If you've never been to the World Trade Center before, it's pretty cool to see. It's very nice. It is a bit of a tourist trap now. There's people selling stuff all around it, and you know how New York City can be. So we are about 2 nautical miles from the Statue of Liberty. If you ever want to take a ferry to the Statue of Liberty at Battery Park, I believe is where you can get on them. So let's go ahead and drop some altitude here. So as you can see, we are switching back to just letting it hover. And as you can see, our forward movement is starting to slow. Our airspeed has stopped. So we are really not moving at all. As you can see, if I look down, we're barely moving forward. You can see a nice view of downtown there. And we're basically coming to a standstill. Our altitude is dropping. We're at about 1,200 feet. 1,150 feet. Trying to get down a little bit here. Give us some nicer views. Governor's Islands to the left, Ellis Island to the right, and the Statue of Liberty. There's a fellow flyer right in front of us. 2 of them, actually. I see 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them. They all start to come around when you get down towards the main sites around New York City. You see a ton of planes. If you ever looking to fly with a group of people, the area around New York City is a really cool spot to do that in. We are now about 1 nautical mile away from our final destination of the Statue of Liberty. We're going to try our hand at landing here. And let's see what happens. Hopefully nobody gets in our way. Any mid-air collisions here. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop down as low as I can soon and slow down. Because I need to get in position to land. There goes a plane. There's a lot of very busy skies tonight. Alright, switching to cockpit view here. Coming in nice. I'm thinking right in the center of the pedestal at the front of the statue is where I'm going to land. There's that beautiful open spot right there. I thought about just landing in the grass, but I figured that was too easy. So let's see what happens here. I'm down to 250 feet. There's a buoy below us. Alright. Raise our altitude up a little bit. Let's tilt forward. UAM forward on the lower altitude again. Fighter jet. Oh, we bounced off the water. Oh, look at that. He recovered. He recovered? Yes, he did. Back on his way. Okay. Let's lower down here. Somebody was going way too fast. We'll just kind of feather this in here if we can. We're down to 190 feet. Try to stop forward movement. Sudden movements here. Pull back on the stick a little bit. Lower it down. Pull forward a little bit. About 100 feet. We should be landing very soon. Hopefully we don't go right through this and just crash. Let's see what happens. Here we go. This is it. The moment of truth. What's going to happen? Trying to land on the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. And we are down. Okay. We have landed on the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. The landing was very soft. But as you can see, we are in mid-air still. A couple of feet off the actual pedestal. That is because of the way the graphics are rendered. That the down part where we would walk around to look is not actually there. It's all just flat from the highest point on this part, which is those bricks overlooking the grass. There is a view of the World Trade Center, and we have landed on the Statue of Liberty. That was very much fun, and I did it. I didn't think it was going to work, but it did. Hope everybody enjoyed this video. As always, please click that like button and subscribe to the channel, and I will see everybody soon. Thanks a lot.